Welcome. My name is Marwan Ba. I've been teaching real estate for like 15 years to real estate agents and brokers, people in the industry, the ones that you go to learn how to buy or that navigates, to help you navigate how to buy and sell real estate. I've been doing that in New England area, so Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Rhode Island for 15 years. Before that, I used to own a RE/MAX franchise. And before that, I used to be in the military. So I was in the military in the Carolinas, South Carolina, North Carolina. So I know those parts fairly well. And yeah, I do real estate for a living. So yeah, so beautiful place in North Carolina. I loved it when I was there. But I'm originally from West Africa. I grew up in DC. And I got an MBA from Georgetown in DC. And I live in Massachusetts, the the awesomest states in the union, right? That's what they say, at least according to Trevor Noah, right? The awesomest state in New England, where a lot of wonderful stuff. So, so let me tell you guys a little bit about my real estate projects. My real estate projects tends to be very unique. Cameron, where are you from, Cameron? Let me ask this question. So as I'm talking about this, I'm thinking about some of the audience that I have in the group, number one. Number two, see if I can cater some of the presentation towards these people. I do not have a PowerPoint presentation because, well, we had a very, very low turnout, and I figured that we can just do an interaction or an exchange, Q&A kind of thing. So when I talk about something, if you don't get it, just pop the questions or chat or do whatever you need to do so we can cover it. All right. So Cameron is from New Jersey. So maybe Cameron might have, Newark. So we got a lot of people from New York and Texas. That's everybody we're getting. But Newark has triple deckers. New York has multifamily housing, right? Yep. So that's what I used to focus on a lot. So I used to teach real estate to agents, brokers, and things of that nature. And I used to go around and buy triple deckers, 3-story, stacked on top of each other, almost like a mini apartment building. And I do condo conversions on those projects. What is a condo conversion? Do you guys know what a condo conversion is? Roger, Cameron, do you guys know what a condo conversion is? So condo conversion basically is when you take a multi-unit development or a multi-unit property and turn it into separate deeds or separate units that could be owned individually. When you have a multi-unit, it has typically one deed on the property for all of the apartment. So it's one title. Deed and title are interchangeable. Title tends to be for personal property. Deed are typically real property, but they're interchangeable. So you have typically a title or a deed on one property, regardless of how many apartments, units, space, whatever is in that particular property. That's the multifamily sections of the definition. Now, when you have a condo, you typically have a minimum of 3 deeds. You have what's called a master deed. Master deed is of the entire complex. And inside of that master deed, you have unit deeds. So the reason why you have a minimum of 3 is because the master deed is one, unit number 1 is another, unit number 2 is the third one. So if you just have one property, you don't need a master deed, therefore you would only have one. So you wouldn't find 2 kind of deeds in a condo, if that makes sense. So then you have this master deed, then you have the unit deed, and then you have what's called bylaws, rules and regulations that is of self-governance of the association, where you'll find things like no dogs of certain breeds, no loud music, no parking or putting stuff outside of your door, no sticking stuff, whatever. Rules and regulations. That is what a condo conversion requires to create it. Of course, there are more details, like you need site plans, floor plans, common area definition, and things of that nature. But that's essentially what you need. So that's what I specialize in. Now, the cool thing about that is that if you do 2 or 3 in a very expensive market like New England, you can easily reach that $1 million mark. So let me give you the guys an example and break it down. If I take a 3-family in New England, the average price is between $500 to $1 million. So we'll go in the middle and say, I buy a triple-decker 3-family for $750,000. Now, I don't do that without 2 things first. First one is comps. Comps of what? Comps of the acquisition and comps of the after rehab sales value of the individual units. And then the second thing I do is make sure that I know my exit strategy and at least define that on paper and figure out what it requires to do that. So you do the comps, you figure out if I buy this property at $750,000, are other properties similar to this selling for $750,000? Now, the easiest thing to do is ask a real estate agent if you don't have your license to do that for you. But if you do have your license, you can just go on MLS and do a comp of what's sold within the last 3 months, within a half-a-mile radius of that particular property. If you can't do that, or you don't have a real estate agent, well, you can go on realtor.com, realtor.org, you can do Zillow, Truglia, you can do Redfin, you can do Remax.com. All of those places now, with the help of technology, will simply have a map where you know you're within a half-a-mile radius of the particular subject property. And then you just keep clicking on properties and figure out what the property sold and when did it sell, to get an Excel sheet of all the property within that market and when they sold. And when you do that, you can separate the Excel sheets by, this is the multifamily, and this is the condo. In the multifamily, you have to make sure that the property is very similar to what you're buying, as close to it as possible. And in the condo, you do the same thing. So if you're buying a multifamily that has 2 bedrooms on each apartment, 1 bathroom in each apartment, don't go do comps on a condo, on a multifamily that has 4 bedrooms on each apartment. The comps will not be correct. So you do that. Once you're done with, well, the only reason why you would do the other one is because you're planning to add 2 extra bedrooms so you can see the value of it. But even that, it is not necessary to do that at the acquisition of the 3-family. You want to see the existing value that is there compared to what other values similar are selling for. That way, if they're selling for more than $700,000, you know you're getting a bargain. If they're selling for less, you know you're overpaying. Now, once you do that and you put it on the side, you go look at the condos. Now, the condos, the idea is that you do a couple of comps. One, where things are done with low-grade level kind of material, and one with high-grade level things. And pay attention to all the little tricks, the little small things that explodes the price of the property. For example, if a condo has a fireplace and all of a sudden the price jumps up $100,000 compared to the one that don't have fireplace, you need to notice that. If a property has parking, yours does not, and the one that has the parking is worth more, you should pay attention to those kinds of things. If the property has outdoor space and you don't, or when the property has 2 bathrooms and yours do not, but maybe yours has a pantry, it should force you to think whether you should turn the pantry into a second bathroom to be competitive with the properties that you're comping, right? So once you have the 2 comps, then you make a decision of, should I buy it? And how much money should I spend to rehab it? And how long will it take me? Because you need to know the last portion to figure out how much money you have in the bank account to carry the property over. Typically, you should do a condo rehab in like 3 months. But it's the same concept with markets that do not have multifamily, because you can use the exact same comps on a single family. But here, you're not buying 3 or 2 and subdivided into, you're buying 1, perhaps 2 times, and rehabbing it to flip it to someone else. Now, the average condo in Massachusetts is about $400,000, $450,000. So if you bought one $750,000, you put $100,000 rehab money into it, and you sell each one for $750,000, you probably make about $300,000, roughly, plus or minus. You do that 3 times, bingo, you've made $1 million. All right, let's put that aside because we only have 30 minutes and we've already been on the call for like 20 minutes. Let's talk about something else. Buying foreclosure is another place where you can make money. So how do you find foreclosure? You go to auction.com and you register, you sign up, and then you check the market. When you see the list of all the property that comes up, and they will send you emails and things of that nature, you just keep an eye on it. You don't have to buy the property in the market that you're in, but don't buy the property in the market that you don't go to. So like Roger said, I'm buying a house in North Carolina because my brother's going to look out for the property for me. Yeah, that could work. But if you're in Texas and you're buying a property in Washington, D.C., and you don't have anybody to look out for the property, that might be a nightmare waiting to happen if you don't have the right structure. You don't plan to go there, right? So you have to have the right structure to buy outside of your market or market where you have friends or family that can keep an eye on the property for you. So you duplicate or you copy the exact same thing you just learned about the condo. Here is to learn how to do the comps. The comps is probably the most important thing you need to do. So you do the comp when they put it on auction. You have to have the financing ready kind of scenario, your down payment ready, and all those things. And when the property comes up on the market, you have a fixed maximum bid. As long as you stay under that bid, when you buy the property, you rehab it, and you put some hard money loans on it, you rehab it, you guys know what a hard money loan is, right? I know I'm going a little fast, but try to make sure I give you as much as I can, as much value as I can. You guys familiar with the hard money loans? Yeah, okay. So you put a hard money loan on it because those are typically the only kind of loans that will finance a foreclosure. You need 20% down, you know? Yeah, don't worry about it. We can send you a copy of this video, and hopefully we'll put this video on YouTube so that you guys can go back to it and stuff like that. So you go on Zillow, you look at the comps, make sure that the comps are greater than what you're paying for, at least by, in my perspective, at least 40, 50% higher. So if I'm buying a $100,000 property, I want the property after to be worth at least 150 grand. That means my down payment, 20% of 100 grand needs to be like 20 grand. You need to have down payment, closing costs, and all those things. And then do the project. When you're done, flip it for $150,000 to $160,000, but you need to do it in less than 90 days. Why do you need to do it in less than 90 days? Because the market can change on a dime. Now, if you don't flip it in 90 days or less, you may run into a problem where real estate is a seasonal thing. If you do a project in the fall, not many people buy properties in the winter. People do not usually move because you have to know your end buyer, right? People do not move when it's snowing outside or when the kids are in school or whatever the case may be. You want to get it out of the door before this thing happens. Because if you don't, you might be stuck carrying that building until next spring or next break. Unless you're selling it to another investor or you're flipping it to like a wholesaling kind of scenario, you need to time it so that you're not stuck with the property during the winter months. Why? If your mortgage payment on a hard money loan is $2 grand and you're budgeted 90 days to do the project, and then you miss the season, you might end up paying 10 grand to hold that building over. If your profit margin was $40,000 to $50,000, oops, there goes 20% of your income. That's the reason why timing it is important. That's the reason why understanding the cycles is important, right? So then you get it out of the door. So how did I make $1 million in 12 months? The last part is what I did. So I found a property in a really good school district. It was being auctioned by auction.com. I'm on there all the time. I mean, that's what I do for full-time living kind of job. And I bid it on the property. till my maximum dollar amount reached. My maximum was 1 million. I ended up bidding 1,050,000 on the property. And I spent 200 grand rehabbing it. I spent 200 grand rehabbing it. And in my case, because I don't sell properties, all I did was refinance it. Now, the cool thing I did that a lot of people do not do, I did it as an LLC because I need the LLC for the hard money loan. And then I refinanced it under my proper name, but instead of calling it a refinance, I did a purchase. I purchased it from my LLC to my name proper. And I put whatever price I wanted to buy it at. And the price between the two was 1 million. So when we went and did the appraisal, it appraised it what I estimated it, because there were comps in the neighborhood that showed properties selling at $2 million. So I bought the property for $2 million. And I have $1 million, in this case, in equity. So if I need money, I can just refinance it. But the reason why I did it that way is so that I don't have to pay capital gain tax on $1 million. Short-term capital gain tax is 25%. I don't want to give someone 250 grand, even if it's the government. Short-term capital gain tax is 15%. That means you have to hold the property longer than 12 months. Then you can pay 15% capital gain. On $1 million, that's still $150,000. I don't want to give away 150 grand. So I just refinanced it. And then I kept the equity. As time comes, if I need the equity, I'll do a home equity line of credit, which is non-taxable, and I'll take the money and do whatever I need to do, all while someone else is paying for that property because it's rented out and the tenant's paying $7,000 on this $2 million property. My mortgage payment is about $5,500, and I have $1 million equity in the property. So we've been on the call for 28 minutes. What do you guys think? Useful stuff? No? Yes? Maybe? Were you disappointed to spend 30 minutes with me or not? Cameron, are you there? We only have 2 people on the Zoom.
Hey, Marwan. So Cameron and Roger, they both have questions. If you can check on the Q&A.
So does this apply to all the states or just Boston? No, it applies to all the states. All the states, you can do condo conversion. Auction.com is available on all the states. You can do this on all the states. Now, the issue is that you can only do this as much as capital as you have in a bank. Alternatively, if you run out of capital, you can do a partnership, you can do syndications, you can do things where you're doing it with someone else. They have the capital, you have the expertise now, and you do it with them, and then you split something. Either you give them the cash flow, you keep the equity, or you split the equity and you split the cash flow, or you give them the equity and you take the cash flow. One of those things, but it applies everywhere. What are your thoughts about upcoming recession? Is that something that can have a negative impact on the real estate business? Everybody has been predicting a recession for, I don't know, 20 years, 30 years. Everybody has been like, recessions are supposed to be something, a phenomenon that comes up every 20 years. So since the last recession, people have been predicting the next recession. I think that we might not see a recession as soon or as fast or as hard as we might think, because we have overprinted currency and the dollar is the currency reserve of the world. And even if we see a recession, the real estate market should be holding a lot better and a lot stronger than the stock market, except if we are hit with a high unemployment rate. Housing shelter is a necessity, unlike the bond and the stock and those kinds of things. It is a necessity. So we always need a roof over our head. The question always is, do people make enough money to pay for the rent or the mortgage that they are burdened with? And as long as unemployment is strong, real estate will be strong. As soon as that changes, real estate will drop, even if we don't have a recession. So the best place to get real value answers for that would be to go and look at the employment statistic of your area, your market, or of the US, if you want. But real estate being such a market-driven, such a regional-driven investment or asset, it's better to look at the employment statistic of New Jersey versus that of Texas or California. Because even during the great crash of 2008 of the real estate market, certain markets did better than others. Like Florida was devastated. California was like destroyed. But places like New York, Massachusetts, Washington, D.C., I think they only dropped like 2 or 3%, but they stayed stagnant for the 2008 market. They didn't see a big crash. But places like Nevada, where people go to vacation, you could have bought a property for 20% of what it was worth just a couple of years ago. So that's my take on the recession. My thing is that if you don't hold the property long-term, recession does not impact you because it takes a long time to develop. But if you get stuck in a recession, you just have to have the holding power, meaning that your income outside of that property is sufficient to carry the building until the recession is over. Real estate is one of those things where time is your ally in real estate. The longer you can hold on to something, the more profitable, successful you can be in that project. Good question. Is crowdfunding a good thing to purchase a commercial property building? You have to be careful with crowdfunding in the sense that if you don't do it correctly, you can get into trouble with the Securities and Exchange Commission. I'm going to put a link on the chat for you to look at. So you have to be careful on www.sec.gov/education/small business. And you can read about the crowdfunding rules and regulations. So it takes a lot of money. It takes like 30 to 40 to 50 grand just to set up the crowdfunding. And then you have to do it with an accredited platform or crowdfunding thing in order for you to do a crowdfunding. It is not the same as if you're doing partnership. If you want to do a partnership, you just get 2 or 3 of your friends, equal roles, equal thing. That's not a crowdfunding. You can do that without any issues. Yes, I have invested in projects outside of the US. I think you can. I think you can already buy stuff with Bitcoin.
So I can help you answer that because I think the city that you're or the country that you're referring is my country. It's in El Salvador. So I'm pretty sure that you can buy properties now with Bitcoin here.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to be careful with crowdfunding, Cameron. Crowdfunding can be and it's very expensive to set up. It's very expensive to set up. You have to get attorneys that are SEC compliant expert. You have to have a platform. And then people have to pool money, and the way that you advertise, you have to make sure they understand it's an illiquid market. And yet there are a lot of steps and a lot of things you can and cannot say. So yeah, crowdfunding can be a pain. But here's the issue with to go back to Roger's point with Bitcoin and buying properties. You can buy property for anything in any circumstance someone else wants to. I have sold a property for $1 in the past. Now the trick to that was I sold it to my sister. That's called for love and affection. So there's good consideration and there's valuable consideration. Bitcoin might be structured in a good consideration way. So that is what I think about Bitcoin and using Bitcoin as I think the biggest value of Bitcoin would be to use the technology behind Bitcoin, like blockchain, to issue titles that are non-changeable, that is in a ledger that is a public ledger. I think that would be a cool thing. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I think that's all we can talk about in 30 minutes. I think we've been on the call for 36 minutes. But before I let you guys go, Cameron, Roger, I hope you don't mind. I'm going to put this on our YouTube channel to build content so that people can see that we know what we're talking about. So if you could give me a thumbs up if you don't mind me doing that. And then the other thing I was going to do also is ask for feedback. If we are putting a crowdfunding platform, Cameron, this is for you. If we're putting a crowdfunding platform together to do some real estate projects in the New England to Mid-Atlantic, do you think that you would be interested in investing? And more importantly, what do you think you would want as a return for your investment? I'm curious. I'm not asking you to invest. I'm just saying, would you be interested in investing? Number one. And number two, what do you think you will want as a return for your investment? Particularly since you guys have already 7%, that's it? Wow, you're so generous, man. A lot of the crowdfunding platforms that are out there are targeting accredited investors, people that have a lot of money. But they're offering 10%, 12%, things like that. We're putting together a crowdfunding platform where we are offering 12.6% return on our crowdfunding platform. But we're still going through the SEC regulation, and we've been doing that for, 2 months. Yeah, we're going to be doing 12.6. And ours is not non-accredited. So we're looking for investors of $5,000 or less. As a matter of fact, here's what we're doing, Cameron. We're putting together crowdfunding where we're looking for, say, a couple of hundred people that we're going to do a project where for every year, we are asking people to invest $5,000 consecutively for every year for 10 years. And at the end of the 10 years, we're going to cut them a check for 100 grand. So essentially, by the 10th year, they would have invested 50 grand, but they're starting out with 5 grand, then another 5 grand, then another 5 grand, then another 5 grand. And then year number 10, we mail out a check for 100 grand. What that comes out to is like 15 to 18% return on an annual basis on the compounded money. Yeah. We had to fire. We had to fire a couple of people already. We had to fire a couple of people because we hired people and they did just that. They were so. But our thing now is that we're doing what's called a semi-open crowdfunding, where we don't put the property on the contract until we have raised enough capital. It's when we have the capital that, because I know how to look for deals and I have a team that works with me, we're going to then look for the opportunities. What we're hoping is to have what's called the war chest in case there's a recession coming, Cameron. In case there's a recession, everybody is going to be running away from real estate. We want to run towards the real estate project. So before I let you guys go, thank you so much. Do you guys have any last minute questions before I let you go? Before I let you guys go? Any questions? Roger. Very well. Thank you so much, and good luck with that acquisition in North Carolina. Yeah, I hope it works out. I hope your brother takes good care of it. Yeah, I have to do more marketing campaign, Cameron. Absolutely. I have to do a lot of marketing campaign. But right now, what we're trying to do is, even though we have a lot of experience teaching, we have a lot of experience having conversation about real estate, we don't have an online credibility. So we're building that credibility by putting a lot of videos on YouTube, and then we're going to be doing a lot of ads to get some followers. Yes, we do. We have bostonrealtyinstitute.com. That's our website. And then we have the realestatepartner.com. That's the second website. So we have two websites. And we also have a small construction company that does a lot of our projects. All right, my people, thank you so much. I appreciate it. This was fun. We had 2 people, but it was awesome. It was engaging. And yeah, we have a couple of additional events. We'll start posting the events on our website, but we'll also continue to post them on the Eventbrite. I hope to see you guys soon. If you guys have any questions, shoot me an email. I'll be happy to get back to you. And we're also putting together a YouTube channel, so you can also post messages and comments and drop stuff and like and everything that people, YouTuber tell you to do that on our channel too. I know, right? Yes, our YouTube channel doesn't have anything except for ads at the moment because we just started it literally 2 days ago. So we're trying to get everything going and all the stuff. So yeah. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. See you guys later. Oh, I forgot to